Welcome to Living Your Maine Love, the podcast that celebrates the people who are living with passion, purpose, and a whole lot of heart. Each month, we'll sit down with people who are following what lights them up in Maine and beyond.
Today I have Gabe
Hoffman-Johnson.
The
hyphenate.
I was going to ask
it's
you
a
the
mouthful.
hyphen.
It's a mouthful.
Gabe Hoffman-Johnson, who is here with the Hearts of Pine. And welcome. We love our relationship with you and the team.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And, I always tell the story that when we first met with your team, I didn't even have water in a can. And I was sort of being kind of embarrassed that I didn't have water in a can for people to sample. And I think it was Steve at the time. It's like, Jen, don't worry about it. We don't even have players. And so that was kind of how it started. And we're very grateful to our relationship with you. And
yeah, likewise.
Would love to hear from you what, the motivation to bring a team here to Portland. I know you tell the story all the time, but I think from a sponsor's perspective, it'd be interesting and for our listeners.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's been such a long ride, right? And to sort of be here after season one, but
I know you can take a breath, maybe a little.
Yeah,
and say, okay, we did one.
A little bit.
We did 1 year, and you had a great year.
We had a great year. We made a semifinal. But yeah, I mean, if I could go back to our real sort of motivations and my real motivations, it's easier to almost even back up a little further and talk about my upbringing, right? So my father was a collegiate soccer coach and athletic director. And I was raised, on soccer fields and around the game since before I could walk. And my mother is the international peace builder. So her foundation predominantly is reconciliation and conflict resolution work.
Amazing.
In Sierra Leone. So I was sort of raised by this like soccer and social impact. And I love the game. I played the game. I'm a fan of the game. But I think my favorite parts about soccer are the pieces that almost don't have to do with soccer, right? Just like how it can be a medium, a catalyst, a conduit for so much else. And, from my perspective, to bring a club to Maine, to bring a club to Portland is, in my view, just this sort of investment in the future vitality of this place that we love.
Yeah.
From an economic, community, cultural perspective. And our real goal is to use this club, our platform, to contribute towards building a better Maine.
Well, I think you're leading the way, Gabe. I mean, it's amazing in one season to see the energy that surrounds the team.
Yeah.
And, we have tickets, of course. Now all my distributors want to go to your games.
Yeah, it's a
right?
tough ticket to get, yeah.
It is a tough ticket to get. So we're super thrilled with our seats, but everyone wants your ticket. And is that something you worry about, that you're at a 98%? Ticket.
Yeah.
I know in one way it's fantastic, right? Who doesn't want to sell 98% of repeat purchase?
Yeah.
But that only leaves you 2% for new butts and seats, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. So that 98 sort of renewal percentage for our season ticket holders.
Correct.
Which is a phenomenal rate.
It's outrageous.
And I think it's actually one of the things that keeps me up at night the most, right? On the one hand, it's a phenomenal problem to have, right? Drowning in the demand, but I think at the same time, we went live with our single game tickets recently, and they're gone within minutes, and there's 5,000 people trying to get them, and and we're working on things to try to get more people into the game. We have our community ticketing program, that allows sort of access for people who otherwise wouldn't be able to, but there's still so many people who want to come to these games, and our wait list for season tickets is 6,800 people long.
Wow.
That's
almost the same amount that fit.
It's more. It's more than the capacity of the facility, which is remarkable. And I think, we're sort of at this point now where, yes, trying to solve for, how to get more first-time people into the stadium, how to add. We've added some seats. We have more games this year. So, on the whole, thousands of more people will be able to come to these games, but it's still difficult. And I think, it's forced us to think about, what that evolution is, and maybe a little bit sooner than we would have thought in terms of.
It's almost a forced grow up, right? You probably are being pushed a little to think bigger, faster than you might have thought you would.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the agility founders have to. I have lots of things that keep me up at night too, Gabe, and mostly to do with selling more water. And why am I not selling water in January, February, and March? Right? And then I have to remind myself, I'm in Maine. It's, and as the distributor in Boston said, Jen, there are icicle tumbleweeds on the Cape. You want me to sell water now?
Yeah.
Yes, actually, I do. But, trying to get in position for the summer. But, seasonality is real for sure.
Totally. Yeah. And it's been fun for us sort of coming off of just from the seasonality perspective, our first off season, right? And now sort of coming into season 2 and what are the things that we can do differently? What are the things that we can improve upon? We open up the season, this weekend, right? So it's sort of like all of a sudden it's here again. And really excited for, the second go round, and continue to grow what we have here. And I think too, so much of that first season is read and react. We're a startup and still are to some extent.
Well, it's a little extra operational burden. We work with other teams, and, the put up and the takedown that you have at Fitzy is an art unto itself, right? It's a beast of burden and an art all at the same time.
Yeah.
We're one of the biggest AAA sports cities.
Yeah.
I use the word city lightly.
Yeah.
How do you foresee, getting a pitch that's sort of a permanent position?
Yeah, I mean,
or not.
Yeah, well, I think those are the kinds of things we're looking at, right? And I think, Portland was named, I think Sports Business Journal named us the best minor league sports market in the country, which is phenomenal. And there's this, uniqueness about who we are, Portlanders and Mainers, that has this sort of like outsized passion for things that are our own. And, we're all New England sports fans, but also want to support local. And so it's really fun to be a part of that and contribute to sort of that fandom. And I think we've sort of tapped into this, new community, right? There's this sort of like growing tailwinds behind soccer fans in this country, and that cultural relevance of that real sort of engagement from, millennials are the first generation of Americans. We're over 50% of us, I'm a millennial, consider ourselves soccer fans. And as you get younger, it only gets higher. So that
I always
growth
consider soccer the entry point for all team sports.
Yeah, exactly.
When my kids were 3 or 4, they're playing bumblebee soccer. Wherever the ball is, they're all like doing it, right?
Right.
So, and now as they're older, they have greater appreciation for watching soccer, right?
Totally.
They're more likely to watch it.
Totally.
So.
And the analogy I use, and we'll get back to your question too, but I think the analogy I use, my father, when he was growing up outside of Boston, 70s, right? Like youth soccer didn't really exist, right? He couldn't play. He got to high school.
There was no women's soccer in Windham, Maine.
Yeah. And it wasn't until he got to high school he could play it. Now he's raised his kids, and from a consumer fandom perspective, when I was growing up, I wasn't watching soccer on the weekends. It wasn't available, and now it is. And now you see, when you travel and you're in airports, you're seeing soccer jerseys. So that growth of sort of new fans is changing quickly. And we're seeing that here. And I think part of what has led to our success too is it's not just soccer fans, right? We've been able to position ourselves, and similar to you, we're representing Maine, right? And how do you present this and build this in a way that's going to attract people who, maybe I just love the place, right? It
is the provenance of place,
yeah,
position, nostalgia.
It has to be.
And I also describe Maine as a little bit of the Wayback Machine. It feels like 1985 sometimes, but that's also the joy.
There's beauty in that too, though,
there's
right?
There's also the joy.
Yeah, I think Maine's always 5 to 10 years behind on things, and there's this little unsophistication, which sometimes is a challenge, but sometimes is really good. And there's I think especially in sort of the modern times, there's this escape from modernity a little bit that people are yearning for, and Maine can provide that. A
lot of my friends from Austin come in the summer to escape the heat and to sort of immerse themselves in outdoors in nature.
Yeah. You can be downtown in a city that can serve national, international quality business, and then within 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you're on the lake, you're in the river, you're on the ocean, right? And sort of that that lifestyle that I think we all need.
And that's actually, one of our tenets of the brand is sort of active relaxing. Right?
Yeah, we try
We do support, obviously, fandom, right? Water drives community since the origin of time, right?
Yeah,
Towns get built around wells, lions lay down their claws, all that sort of stuff. And I think we also really work well in stadium environments from a recyclability perspective. And that's, whether you call it sustainability, recyclability, the ability to manage your trash, right, is incredible.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Right.
It's hard.
Right.
So by making it in aluminum, we hope that it makes it slightly easier.
Yeah.
And also you don't have to have glass or other and single-use plastic, of course.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, and those are the things that I think we love, right? As we think about ways to improve the stadium and what our footprint is and all those pieces, it's an important piece to who we are, and even outside of the stadium too. I think the ways in which that sort of values-based, purpose-driven pieces can be a part of our decision making. and the way that we approach things, I think is critical. So that when people, think about us, it's the soccer's great, the community's great, the environment's great, but also, look at the work they're doing, in East End Community School that's focused on social emotional skill development.
I love your
through
players
soccer.
in the wild and,
Yeah.
the activations you have done that I have participated in.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful to see players interact, especially with kids,
Right.
obviously. And, I know you're starting a foundation.
Yep.
As a brand, we work with a lot of teams. We work with a lot of foundations.
Yep.
That's sort of been our niche, is really helping drive community into the foundation. So
Right.
we hope we can do that with you as well.
No, absolutely. And I think, as we, we're all, sort of working to capture people's time and attention, right? And I think that level of, at least, for a lot of Mainers, for how I want to position this thing is I want people to look at us and be like, phenomenal, but they care, right? And I think that's the ways that we can give back and contribute.
I
Is
think that's
really
the best of Maine, actually.
totally.
Right?
It's who we are.
Neighbors helping neighbors.
Right.
My friend who works at or used to work at FEMA always said, if Maine has this, by the time FEMA gets the call, Maine has already cleaned itself up.
Right.
Right. So FEMA never has to come here because we all, if your neighbor's tree fell down, that's what you're doing today.
Totally.
Right?
And I love, we're very comfortable, with our heads down doing our own work for our own good reasons. But if given the necessity or the, or if we're asked, right, that head comes right up and you're, right to it in terms of supplying, to meet that need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I hear that you're working hard to add a women's team.
We are, yes. And we just had our first town hall this past weekend. We were over at Allagash and 350 people there. Incredible dialogue, really good energy. We stayed and watched the women's national team play and win the She Believes Cup. I think, it's always been a part of the plan, right? We're the Soccer Club of Maine, and that this is just that next evolution of where we're going. And but I think importantly, going about it in the same fashion, right? Driven by community input. I thought
it was so impressive to me that you started with a town hall.
Yeah.
With four players already sort of identified, or at least I saw some soccer names.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we're bringing in some really heavy, and this is remarkable. What's going on here is, some of the best women's soccer players ever in America are being a part of our virtual town hall to have this conversation around why little markets like, Maine can help lead the way for what this game can evolve into and be, which is really special.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We actually were the water sponsor for the World Sevens this year.
Okay.
Down in Fort Lauderdale. It's a 2/3 pitch.
Yeah.
It's faster. It was only a 20-minute game, I think. No offsides and literally hardly any calls. I've never seen a more aggressive women's game.
Yeah.
But it was incredibly fast.
Yeah.
And we do a game for they had a kids event as well through their foundation.
Yeah.
And so we do this. We give you a board. What's your Mainelove? And so kids were writing them on soccer balls.
Cute.
But they were spelling them all incorrectly, which made it even more adorable. So it was Messi with a Y. What's your favorite?
Sure.
And so Ronaldo with an A, all these sort of like misspellings. But that's our traditional activation is what is it that you love? And most people write their mom. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I think I might.
And then they see all these things are like a mom, Messi, Ronaldo, soccer.
Yeah.
And it's just it's an amazing thing to witness as, it's a brand activation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's community.
Right.
Really.
Right.
And it's so incredible in the soccer.
Yeah, and it's human and it's emotive, right? I think those are, really, really important things. I think as we think about how we, talk about who we are and what this club is, very often we spend a lot of time thinking about who we give the microphone to and what stories are we telling. And very often it's about, it's about people and place, not even necessarily about our players in the club, right?
Yeah.
And we tell those stories, but I think, for people to be able to see themselves or people that they know in what we're doing and to feel that connection to, this place that they have some sort of affinity for, in a real human way.
And I think that's what
special.
kind of drew us to you when you were launching as well.
Yeah.
Not only that I love that there's not a lot of plastic at your games, which is very important to us. And interestingly, I've converted the Falmouth Country Club is moving to aluminum, and we've started to I got a letter last week from the White Pine Markets, who's a vending machine supplier in Portland, that they've removed all the plastic due to our influence. And, you know, those little feedback tips, you know, really give me a lot of energy because it means that people are listening.
Yeah, it's working.
And it's encouraging them to make a choice. And that's really what I've always positioned us as. We're not here to tell you what to do.
Right.
I would love that everyone drinks out of aluminum, because once you learn how bad plastic is, we should not be supporting such things for our bodies.
Right.
But we're also, you know, it's okay if you choose to do that.
Yeah.
Can't tell Mainers exactly what to do.
Yeah, right. Well, and absolutely. And I think that's something that we've really taken to heart. And from those original town halls, right? I think a lot of what people see that is Hearts of Pine has come from the community itself. And there's this recognition of like, people don't want to be sold to. People don't want to be told what to do, right?
I think in this moment in time specifically, I mean, that's why our branding is so in your face, straightforward, is that, you know, the current Gen Z generation does not want to be marketed to.
Yeah.
They'll see through it in a hot minute.
Yeah.
And then they'll tell you everything you're doing wrong about marketing to them. Or you could just say, what's in the can? Yeah. To your point on, you know, we're so proud of our source, put Maine on the can.
Right.
But we are really selling the nostalgia, provenance of place. Right. You know, the hubris of Maine.
Right. No, absolutely. And you know, and people love that. Right. I think that's one of my favorite things about Maine is, you know, whether or not you were born here, have visited here, have moved here, have seen it on, you know, some sort of ad somewhere, there's like this, it kind of, it touches you here, right?
It's an aspiration.
Yeah.
I always share the story when I was first starting the company. I had gone home to Austin. I split time with Austin, though these days I've been in Maine through the winter, so it's been a little rugged. But I got on an elevator, and there was a young woman with a Maine T-shirt on. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, I just got back from Maine," and she's like, "Oh, I went to school in Boston," which means she went to Harvard. If you go to Northeastern, you say you went to Northeastern. If you say you went to school in Boston, it means you went to Harvard. Yeah. And she said, and this was actually sort of the nugget that I kind of kept. She said, "But my favorite memories of college were the weekends I spent in Maine." Cool. And that's really the sense of place. Yeah. The sense of, you know, history almost. That it's a place you can escape to. Yeah. At the same time, it's a place you can leave and come back. I found, you know, being gone for so many years to come back, it's actually been rather welcoming. Yeah. And I'm not alone. There are quite a few boomerangs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's like this welcoming but still tight knit sort of humanness to like to who we are.
You still got a couple sharp elbows.
Yeah, you know? No, but like look, I haven't lived in Maine my whole life, but I feel like I'm most alive when I'm in Maine, right? I'm the best version of myself. There's something about being here and this people and this community that just sort of brings that out of you.
Well, the community effort that you have is really, you know, amazing to see from your origin to today even, and I'm sure in the future. Yeah. Maybe share a little bit with, you know, you're doing some schools, you're doing some other outside of, you know, I would say traditional soccer. Yeah. How do you see that involvement, you know, playing out?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's critical. I mean, we there's sort of a, you know, using this game for good, right? Sort of as I mentioned, and this like recognition of how it speaks to young people in really, really special ways, and seeing, you know, knowing that if used as a conduit, it can help young kids achieve better life outcomes. Sure. And so we spend our resources, you know, helping facilitate that, and in after school, you know, impact programming, where soccer is sort of what captures their attention, and then the enrichment is sort of placed along the way, and that's growing. But to your point about, you know, building community, I mean, I think that's, if you could really distill down what this club is, what we're doing here is building community. We just happen to be doing it through soccer. You know, we talk a lot about third spaces and these sort of you know, spaces for human connection that don't really exist anymore, or at least they're you know, they're shrinking.
I was going to say definitely shrinking. Yeah, but I think it's actually one of the reasons why we have sort of a loneliness epidemic.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think soccer can be a powerful way to combat that. And whether it's, you know, in the schools or in the stadium, or, you know, we're hosting an event in New York City, you know, on Friday night, sort of before the game, and just to bring people together, you know, and to celebrate grassroots soccer and everything that it can be, and celebrate Maine. We just happen to be in Manhattan while we're doing it.
That's right. That's right. That's the way we look at, you know, the recognition down the 95 corridor is so strong for Maine.
Yeah.
I often get asked, why don't you want, global domination of water?
Yeah.
I don't think that water brand should be national, actually. If you actually get under the hood a little bit, we're moving a lot of water towards, west to east.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's our best use of a precious resource.
Yeah.
So really focused for us on the 95 corridor.
Yep.
And then you also play a bunch of those teams down the 95 corridor. Yeah. So I think we can have some fun on sort of a snowbird route.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's it's fun to see the league grow. Right? We're entering the second season where there's 4 new teams this year, and a lot of them sort of are in that sort of Atlantic coast and down into Florida.
And is that what's driven more games? Is the addition of more teams?
Yeah, new teams, correct. Yep. So, and it's we're still playing a national schedule right now, so we have to go to Lancaster, California, and Spokane, Washington, and Corpus Christi, Texas, and but I think as more teams grow, it'll be regionalized slightly. Hopefully, we can get to an Eastern Western conference, and
just for travel and
cost and
player fatigue.
Absolutely. It's very expensive, and for the players too. We have a game in New Jersey on Saturday, then we go to Burlington, Vermont on Tuesday, then we go to Lancaster, California that Saturday, and then we're back to Sarasota, Florida the following Saturday, and it's just sort of like, holy cow.
3 time zones in 4 days, right?
Yeah.
And so, and to be a peak athlete, right? To want to perform at your best.
Right.
That's a hard challenge.
Absolutely.
For any of us.
Yeah. But it's been fun to see the growth, and too, I think the way in which, Maine's rallied around this club has been really, really special, but, outside of Maine too, and I think it speaks to that sort of affinity piece that you were mentioning. Some of my favorite stories are the like, hey, I was wearing my jersey in San Diego, and somebody, someone yelled from across the street, "Up the Hearts!" Just like, that love for Maine, and we've also sort of tapped into this. If I'm an American soccer sicko, then maybe Hearts are my second favorite club, or at least very much aware of what's going on here, and a big fan of.
I do notice that, as in my travels, talking to other team owners, people are in the league specifically are very conscious of, there's this little team in Maine that just started last year and they're already kicking everyone's butt, and a great show for the first year as a startup, and, all the work you do, to get your players and to invest in your players. Yeah. Finding them houses to live, which in Maine is half a battle, which is a very difficult battle.
Yeah.
It's incredible to see it come alive and to be part of it. To be honest.
No, thank you. We're absolutely thrilled to have you, and I think that's it's a labor of love, right? I think that's the we're doing this for the right reasons. And
I think so, and I hope it's a little hotter this summer so we can have more Mainelove hydration breaks.
Yeah, well, it's like I think it's cracked 60 outside today, so
I think
I'm
the
in a t-shirt.
hydration is at 85 or something. If it's 85, you have a Mainelove hydration break.
Okay,
I think.
Yeah.
I think you have to. I think you're required.
Yeah, league mandated.
Mandated. But last year we only had one.
Oh, okay.
So we're hoping for a little hotter summer this year.
Yeah. We just stick the thermometer on the turf,
That's
maybe.
Right. There we go.
Yeah.
And then what's your thinking with the women's team? You have a new foundation. How do you think about it for your personal capacity? As a founder, I'm very sensitive that everyone has to find their own recovery.
Yeah.
Because we have a pace that most people can't sustain.
Yeah.
And how do you take that for yourself?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thanks for bringing that up. That's something I work on, I think about, I struggle with, right? There's certainly probably in this period of my life where I feel like all I do is sort of work and take care of my brain and body so I can keep going. And it definitely feels unsustainable, but holding on and trying to get the most out of myself. But yeah, as new things come up, as new priorities arise, as we have to continue to evolve, surrounding yourself with really good people, right? And I think to have a sort of community connected, values based organization that people want to be a part of, that can attract overqualified people who want to be a part of building this thing.
That's been my experience.
Yeah.
Had the number one salesperson for a very large water brand call me in December and said, "Jen, I'm either going to come to work for you or I'm going to go to work for Chobani."
Yeah, and that's validating,
like,
right? Yeah.
Yogurt or water? Wow. It's very validating. And then a similar reach out from someone in Florida, and really, when you ask why, they're tired of working for soulless brands. Yeah. And that's a direct quote. Yeah. I'm tired of working for a soulless brand.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about being a values position brand.
Totally.
That people want to work for companies that are doing great things in the world.
Yeah, there's sort of like a disillusionment with that, with anybody who's not doing that, right?
Agreed. Yeah. And then, how I also try to surround myself with people smarter than myself.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
everything about water. I didn't actually know much about water when I started it.
Yeah.
So how do you find a chemist? How do you have a point of view or an opinion?
Yeah.
And then working in the brewing community has been really enlightening.
Yeah.
I don't think I could build this product in another state because the collaboration that was really needed to even get my product off the line.
Right.
I walked into a brewery one day, there's 3 chemists from 3 different brewers working together to figure out my nitrogen dosing for my flat water drinking water can.
That's such a Maine story.
It's such a Maine story. And they're like, oh, well, Jerry called me and I came over and then I called Bob and Bob came over and here we are,
Yeah.
And I say that with such love because I don't think that collaboration in the same industry exists in other places.
Right. No, so certainly not. And I mean, that industry specifically, I think, I'm not super close to it, but I have some friends in the industry and there's this like really cool sort of competitive friendship, right? Like this thing broke. Hey, do you have this?
But you still want a rising tide. You want everyone to win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I think Mainers sort of feel that way about anything, is that rising tides piece. And certainly, we've loved being a part of that. And finding ways to have conversations with, whether it's a partner or some organization or whatever, like, hey, what can we do? What can we do to help?
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of what we're all here trying to do.
Well, I'm also doing the Yarmouth Little League this summer as the press box sponsor.
Cool.
So we're going to do a little opening day ceremony with Sluggo the Sea Dog.
Yeah, I love that.
So we try to do. We're also sponsoring 2 junior golfers, amateur golfers.
Yeah.
We're sponsoring a women's golf league called the Sapphire Tour for women of color.
Wow. Okay.
And so kind of all driven off everywhere we go, I always get asked, are you all from Maine? And the more I was like, yes. And then I was like, why are they asking that question? But everywhere we go. And so I was like, wherever we have Mainers out in the world, they should be carrying their love of state and their water. So
absolutely. While they're wearing a Hearts jersey.
While they're wearing a Hearts jersey. Oh, I did get a new license.
Yeah, cool.
Which has been really fun.
Cool. Yeah,
but I think, the community in Maine is a very tight community for good or bad.
Yeah.
And I always say Maine feels like one small town in one big state.
Absolutely. Yeah. As we continue to grow as a state and evolve, I think like this sort of like mix of modern and vintage and keeping the charm, and while we continue to grow is something that it's going to be interesting to sort of see how that sort of unfolds.
How do you think about your merchandise? Obviously you've been very successful in selling merchandise. I think probably the rest of the league is in awe of how much you have sold, from my understanding. How do you foresee that? I love some of the mocks you've done. Like you've really got a really good pulse on why do people need to buy another jersey?
Yeah.
Right? And so I see like my neighbors for their grandkids want a version of each one. Right. So how do you see that evolving?
Well, I mean, in general, I think of who we are in general as a lifestyle brand of Maine, right? And then a community organization sort of like meshed together, and we happen to be a pro soccer team. Like that's the distillation of how I think about us as an organization. And on the merch side, I mean, it'd be very difficult probably to match some of the revenue numbers that we did last year.
I mean, but it's inaugural year. You can't kind of compare year over year for that. But
no,
I mean, but it's so impressive in a first year for a new club.
Absolutely. And I think, being creative on the design pieces. We don't do a lot of like logo tees. I mean, we have them, right? But it's what are the different stories that we can tell? Who are the local artists that we can work with? We've had a lot of success sort of democratizing access to our creative department, right? And working with local artists who have a idea for a design or a story they want to tell through art, and then holding high standards for the quality of the garment and the work that we do.
Us too. We really work hard to I really focus hard on we're our American manufacturing. I try to have American manufacturing. So try to source from LA predominantly.
Cool.
Apparel is difficult though. So recognizing you have a unique struggle there.
And we do our screen printing locally and try to support local as much as we can. And it's part of the business that we're still actively like trying to get a hold on and improve on. But it's a really cool extension of who we are. And there's probably some pieces too of in soccer, that jersey there's a uniqueness to, it's like, it's almost some mystique around like, a soccer kit and what that means. And people collect them, and it's, you wear them.
Seems quite
with,
a cult. Yes,
yeah,
I
you
did
wear them,
recognize
you wear
that.
them with a lot of pride. And so, continuing to get those right is going to be really, really important.
Well, we love our billboard placement in the stadium, right in front of the rowdy
Yeah,
section.
yeah.
And we love the cannons and the fandom
Yeah.
and just like the outrageous expression of love.
Yeah.
I expect that to only get better as
Yeah.
you get Deergo Union kind of up. It looks like that's another community arm that can really drive.
Absolutely. And I think,
connections.
the one piece that, like they are completely independent from who we are, right? We have conversations, we meet with them, bi-monthly, and, they're there to support us. They're also there to, keep us in check to some extent, and making sure that
Is that common in soccer?
Yeah, it is. It's this sort of concept of a supporters group is unique to soccer.
Okay.
But that sort of like organizational structure of an independent supporters group is common in soccer.
Gotcha.
Uncommon for a first year club to have, one that large, and organized. And I would say that like there's a lot of what they're doing that's driving the success of this too, where like, that zoo is a part of the experience,
Yeah,
right? It's a part of the
absolutely.
entertainment. People come in, they're like, holy crap, what's going on?
Yeah,
like
what's going on? Yeah.
like, what is this? But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a group of people that love Maine, love this club, love what it stands for, and love sort of, gathering together to scream and shout and spread love, quite frankly, when you distill it
They're
down.
with you.
Yeah.
I think especially at this time in the world, a
Yeah.
little love and harmony goes a long way.
Yeah.
That's really kind of our positioning is
Yeah.
being radically kind, aggressively wholesome.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think that represents sort of the spirit of Maine.
Yeah.
So we try to live that value
Yeah.
every day. And I think we can always do better.
Yeah.
But I think we also share that kind of love for community and sense of place.
Yeah.
And for me, this is really coming home after being away
Yeah.
for a very long time.
Yeah.
And it feels so wonderful to be home,
Yeah.
doing something meaningful
Yeah.
around creating jobs,
Yeah.
retaining jobs,
Yeah.
and really helping the brewer community to diversify revenue
Yeah.
at a time when all alcohol is really on the decline
Yeah.
across the nation.
Yeah, no, it's important. I think that's one of the things I love is like, Mainers don't really wait for permission to do things, right? They just
great
try
way
to
to
find
think
ways
of
to
it.
contribute,
Yeah.
right? And so, for what you've been able to do, is fantastic. And we're, thrilled to be a part of that. And yeah, I think I told you this maybe last time we spoke of this, like, last year is like, Hearts seeing it everywhere. And then, right along with it, Mainelove, it was like, sort of felt like it was taking over town.
Yeah,
Which was
no,
really
it was
fun
a
to see.
great. You were a new team. I didn't have water in a can, right?
Yeah.
What could go wrong? So, I think we learned a lot, and it was
Yeah.
a great way for me as an emerging brand to talk to 5,000 people.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
get as much consumer intercept work as
Yeah.
you could imagine.
Yeah.
And we certainly recognize that as a privilege.
Yeah.
Not many brands have that
Yeah.
luxury.
No, and it's, good product placement too. Like, it's the one thing I drink most on game days. And like
Thank
the
you.
picture of me and Patrick Dempsey is like, I'm holding your can,
I
right?
know, we
Sort of
love that
like-
picture, Gabe. We love it. And
Yeah.
and I would say nothing makes me happier. If I walk into a restaurant or a bar and you see people holding blue cans, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
To see it in the wild. And,
Yeah.
we're at over 600 doors now, likely.
Wow.
I've lost track, actually, over 500, which I need to get better at. But opening new states is happens very aggressively. So
Yeah.
keeping that store count is difficult.
Yeah.
But really, as we move into Massachusetts, it is for the love of Maine.
Yeah. No, and I think this is the kind of place that I think, and the sort of the community that we have here and sort of spreading the love is definitely something we need a lot more of in the world. So
Absolutely,
Yeah.
especially today.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Gabe.
Yeah, that's fun.
Really love having you.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you so much.